church, isn't it? Good to see me, isn't it? Well, you slowed right down on that one, didn't you? I like being in church. I really do. I like being in church on a non-church night. I like that. You know why? Because here's what that means. Hello, brothers. Good to see you. Because this is not a church night. That means there's something every one of you do at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. Probably Dancing with the Stars. But anyway, and you know what everybody in this room said tonight? They said to the Lord, I'd rather be in church for you than do what I usually do. That's good. That is really good. Been a good day. I left here a little bit depressed this morning. Brother Sal taught on how to find the proper spouse. And every time he gave a reason, my wife would go, oh, that's where I meant. Oh, yeah, that was a mistake. Oh, there's where I happened. 43 years of marriage, just right down the slammers, buddy. Thanks a lot, pal. But I got 4 pages done on a book today I was working on. But you know what I didn't do today? I didn't do one thing to try to stay saved. Isn't that nice? I don't know how, what all you did. You said, well, I had to do this, and I didn't get this done. Yeah, but none of us did one thing to try to stay saved. Isn't that good? This is a good God we have, people. Yeah, you're not going to keep by works what you couldn't get by works. I want to mention about the book table. The book table is back there, and if you are a student, it is 20% off. Now, if you are a student already bought something at the regular price, tough. I tell people, this ain't Walmart, bucko, okay? In fact, if you buy something from my book table, you're not 100% satisfied, take it back to Walmart. They will take anything back. When we get short on cash, I'd take some of my books back to Walmart. They don't even know. And anything you get under your coat's free. And if you buy 5 books, you can get one of their CDs free. Just do it when they're looking the other way, but... I want you to open your Bible to 2 places. I want you to go to Romans chapter 10, 1 Corinthians chapter 2. I'm not preaching on either one of those. I just want to see if they're in your version. It is so good to be saved. It's always good to be saved. Every day I think our boat, this country, sinks lower in the water. And sometimes that will get you preoccupied and distracted from the fact that we're going to heaven. We just need to keep that in mind. We're going to heaven. We know how this whole thing ends, guys. And like Brother Russ sang, it's going to end with the entire population of the globe throughout history on their knees confessing Jesus Christ is Lord. And that's going to be a good thing. Romans chapter 10, 2 verses here. I don't know if you ever saw these before. Verse 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Verse 13, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And then look at 1 Corinthians chapter 2. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9, it says this, but as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. Let's bow our heads. Let's talk to the author of these words. Father, it is good to be saved, and it is good to be in church. God, if there is somebody here and they tend to make bad decisions, they made a good decision by coming to church. I don't mean because they're going to hear me, God. No, they did not make a good decision to come and hear me. They made a good decision to be in church on a Tuesday night, no matter who's preaching. So, God, I pray that you bless every one of these people because of the decision that they made. But God, I know what they want. They want something from you, and they want something from your book. And if they don't get it tonight, it'll be my fault. So, Lord, please don't deny them your presence because of mine. Please get me out of your way and out of their way. Speak to the heart of each individual and accomplish your purpose in each life, God. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Greatest day in your life ought to be the day you got saved. I can't think of anything else that could possibly be better. I guess getting born the first time set up the second one. But man, once you're born, best decision you can make is trust Jesus Christ, your personal Savior. I say this all the time. I can't get over it. You're those people, they go, I'm looking for the second blessing. And I'm one of those people that never got over the first. I got saved June 14th, 1970. You say, when was that? That for me was yesterday. It was yesterday. I'm as excited today as I was the day after I got saved. I am still thrilled that I am saved. I like being saved, okay? Now let me explain. I think I mentioned this. If you're here and you got saved at a young age, you've got the best testimony in the building. That is not my testimony. My testimony is raised Roman Catholic, no Bible in our home, never saw a gospel tract, never in any kind of church but a Catholic church, never heard the gospel. Nobody witnessed to me. It was not that there were not Christians around me. Did you ever notice after you get saved, all those Secret Service men for God show up? All those plain clothesmen, you know, I'm in God's service, and they're all just kind of plain clothesmen for God. And I didn't know that there were Christians around me when I was lost. The girl that helped me pass algebra was saved and never witnessed to me. I can still remember her helping me with my algebra. No wonder I got problems with my neck. I probably shouldn't have put her name on the top of my paper. That did kind of was a giveaway. But I found out the guy telling me dirty jokes in the high school cafeteria at lunch was saved. I found out a guy that I got in a fight in a bar was saved. Yeah, they were saved people around me that's never witnessed to me. I always figured it this way. They didn't witness to me for one of two reasons. Either they're afraid that I wouldn't get saved or they're afraid that I would. And so nobody witnessed me. But somebody did have to witness me, didn't they? You know who was the first person to witness to me? Me. I am the first person that ever witnessed to me, which means I am also the first person that I ever witnessed to. And how that worked, I was lost on both occasions. I was sitting at a bar one night. My friends were all gone. There was a party or a fight somewhere, and so I was sitting there by myself having a draft, and thoughts eternal, thoughts eternal flowed through my mind. And I said, Sam, one of these days you're going to die. Where are you going to go? And I said, well, what do you got to do to get to heaven? Well, you got to keep the 10 Commandments. I'm not sure I know all of those. Okay, got to keep the golden rule. Guys, I don't know how to say this. I was a crook, but I was honest. Who knows? I might have ended up in Congress. And took me 5 seconds to realize I'm on my way to hell. I'm going to hell. Because nobody can keep the 10 Commandments. Nobody can keep the golden rule. I'm going to hell. You say, well, you were Catholic. Didn't you believe in purgatory? I sure did. And I believe there were some good Catholic people that were going to go to purgatory. Come on, guys. There's only one way to get to heaven, trust in Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, correct? But tell me, haven't you ever met some religious people who were lost that really love God? Yeah. You say, is that going to get them to heaven? No. I just thought, well, they'd get to purgatory, but I knew me. I knew there's no detour, man. I'm going straight to hell. And I made two changes in my life when I realized I was going to hell. Now, guys, I didn't get excited about it because here's how I've always been. If I can do something about the conditions, I'm going to do something about it. If I can't do anything about it, don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. If I was on the Titanic, I would have been bailing. I'd have been running around 2 buckets of water, throwing them over the rail, run back down, scoop them up, run back to the rail, throw them over, until they said, we're going down no matter what you do. And when I realized that no matter what I did was futile, I'd have got me a glass of iced tea, got on a deck chair, and enjoyed the rest of the ride. You say, why? Well, why not? You can't do anything about it. And so I didn't want to go to hell, all right, but I knew I was going, and I knew there was nothing I could do about it. But I did make two changes. My two changes were this. First one was, on a day like today, this has been a beautiful day. Yesterday was a beautiful day. Probably tomorrow will be a beautiful day. I like those. I call those blue sky days. And when I saw a blue sky day when I was lost, you know what I tried to do? I tried to memorize, like take a mental picture of a blue sky day. Because I thought when I go to hell, the only thing I can take with me is my memory. Maybe when I am burning in hell, I'll be able to remember what a blue sky day looks like, because if there's any relief at all, that's going to be the only relief I'm going to have. And the second change I made was I quit taking God's name in vain. I wasn't trying to get points with God, okay? I just said this to God. I said, look, you made a way for me to get to heaven, the 10 Commandments. I thought that was very nice of him. I said, you made a way for me to get to heaven, the 10 Commandments. It is not your fault that I broke them. It's not your fault that I'm going to hell. So in appreciation of you having at least made a way that I could have gone to heaven, I'm going to quit taking your name in vain. And I didn't quit drinking, quit changing my life or anything. I just made those two changes. And then I went on with my life. And then I got invited to this independent Baptist church. I told you, it's like this one, 5,000 people in it. The college career class had 425. I wore the oldest clothes that I had when I went there. Somebody asked me, said, well, you're going to church, why don't you dress up? Now, here's what I thought. There's only two kinds of religions on the planet, Catholics and holy rollers. And I knew these guys weren't Catholics, which means what? Yeah. Halfway through the service, somebody's going to start going, grab my shirt and tear it. And I said, if they're going to tear your clothes, you ought not to wear anything good. And I sat 3 rows in from the back so that nobody could reach me from behind. I sat dead center, a pew about that long. I sat dead center so nobody could reach me from the ends. And I watched the ushers, okay? And they had 2 big ushers, jocks, 2 big sports guys, muscle guys. And I knew I couldn't whip them guys. And I'd keep an eye on those guys. And I thought, you know what, if this guy comes down and cuts me off and starts down my way, and this guy over here, he cuts me off and starts, I said, there ain't no way I can whip him. But I had a plan, and my plan was whoever's sitting in front of me, I was going to spin him, I'm going to deck him, and in the confusion, they're going to have the only pew jumping Catholic they ever seen. I said, I really did. I said, I will come back later for my truck. I am out of here. And that wasn't how it was. I listened. For 3 months, I listened. And I was going to college, believe it or not, to be a computer programmer. I am a computer programmer. Doesn't do me a bit of good. Got saved 11 days after, never did use it. Even computers don't know the languages that I learned. Guys, when we didn't even have a keyboard. We used punch cards. That's how, listen, it was so far back, the computer went like from here to the wall, and it had a crank on the side. When you were and so I'm getting ready to graduate, I went with this Christian because there's going to be a party after the graduation, and I wanted to make sure where it was. It's about 35 miles away from home. And we're coming back. I had this VW. Now, don't misunderstand what I say when I say this. You couldn't scare me with hell. I don't mean, you couldn't scare me with hell. I don't mean that. What I meant was, why are you telling me about hell? I'm going there, and I can't do anything about it. I'll tell you what I did. I'd go to that Baptist church. It was like this one in this respect. There are just a lot of doors you can come into this building. You have no idea how many churches I preach in. There's one way in and one way out. But you can come in, I wonder, you ever count how many exterior doors? I mean, I'll bet somebody could come to this church a dozen times and come in a different door every time. And I'd go in different doors in that big old church. And you know what I'd find every time I came in the door? There'd be some older gentleman. I'm here, long-haired, hippie-looking guy, an older gentleman with a suit and tie. He'd be there no matter where it was. It'd be a different guy each time. He'd meet me there, shake my hand, look me in the eye, and say, we're glad you're here. Yep. And I believed it to this day. You know what that bunch of Baptists thought? They thought they were going to heaven. You know what I thought? I thought they were too. Man, if there were good people on the planet, they were good people. And I knew I didn't fit in there. And so I'm driving in this car, I'm getting ready to graduate from this computer school, and this Christian starts telling me not about hell, because it would not have done any good. They start telling me about the tribulation. I'd never heard such a thing. I mean, the water turned into blood. Hailstones the size of 50-pound blocks of ice. The earth opening up, and these things coming out with a tail like a scorpion and a face like Hillary. Definitely terrifying. I was about to kill myself just so I go to hell and escape it. And I'm telling you guys, listen, I mean, hell has opened up in the seat beside me. I was about to take the mark just so I get out of my car. And I went to prayer, and I just quietly to God, I said this. I said, now, Lord, look. Now, guys, remember I told you I quit taking God's name in vain? You remember I told you I did not do it to get points? Well, that's true. But let's be honest. We all do something that we think is good, and at some point we try to get in our points. Well, not me. Oh, yeah, you. Look, if you go home tonight and find out that your house burned down tonight while you're sitting here, you'd say, but I was in church. Right? Come on, some of you have taken a step back and grabbed a hold of something that you did that you thought was pretty good and said, hey, remember this? And so I said this to God. I said, God, to myself, I said, God, I know I'm going to hell. And I said, but you made a way for me to get to heaven, 10 commandments. And I said, you know that for about a year or two, I haven't taken your name in vain in appreciation of that. And I said, if there was a free way to heaven, if there really was, I am not saying you would save me. But I at least think you'd let me know about it so I could make a choice. And I am telling you guys, that was the first time in my life on this planet God spoke to me. And it was as though he reached down in that car, smacked me across the face, and called me by a pet name that he has called me for 45 years. Whenever God wants my attention, this is what he says to me, okay? He said, smack, hey, stupid. Now, just a little sidebar here. If you're ever in prayer and you hear, hey, stupid, could you please hang up? This is a private conversation. We ain't got no party line here, okay? You can be dummy. You can be idiotic jerkface. You can be Democrat. You can be anything else. I am stupid. I have no problem being stupid, okay? Ask my wife. I've kind of made a career out of it. And he said, smack. He said, hey, stupid, what do you think is sitting right beside you? You know what's sitting right beside me? Somebody tell me about a free way to heaven. I decided then and there. This is on a Monday. I decided then and there I'm getting saved next Sunday. Say, why don't you pull off the road and get saved? I didn't know I could pull off the road and get saved. I did not. I didn't know I could get saved then. I thought I had to be in church. But that was okay because I had like 6 days to get some sins out of my life. You know, I was like tardy for class and chewing gum. I can't remember if I did anything else wrong. But anyway, and I called this preacher because I tried to get these things out of my life and had failed miserably. I called him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He wasn't home any day. No cell phones, no voicemail. This is back in the days when if you wanted to hear better, you pulled the string tighter. And now I go to church Sunday, June 14th, 1970, and I can't get saved because I haven't gotten these things out of my life. Now, did you ever hear guys say this? Oh, man, they gave the invitation, and I was hanging on to the pew. Not me. I never, in that 3 months, that church. I mean, I'd go Sunday nights. I was an amening Catholic. If that preacher said so, I hear people, if he said something they agreed with, they'd say amen. He'd say something I agree with. I know what to do. I said amen. I did. I'm like, yeah, I agreed with what he said. He said a lot of good stuff. And, but in that 3 months, the Holy Spirit, during any invitation, every invitation, never one time. Listen, if he walked down that row, he never looked my way, never tapped me on his shoulder, never tugged at my heart, never said it's time. Never, ever. I never fought conviction because I was never under conviction. And so there was a missionary to the Philippines. And he got done preaching, and we stood up for the invitation, and wouldn't you know, God didn't know that I can get a chance to talk to that preacher. Because suddenly I get under conviction. I mean, this invitation is going on, and to me, conviction, it felt like God had a thumb this long, this wide, and he had it on top of my head, and he was going to shove me right through the floor of that church. Now, since I've been saved, I've come to realize that this is entirely too small. But I didn't understand it, because see, here's what I thought conviction was. I thought conviction was a 4-step process. God tells you to do something, you say no, he convicts you till you say yes. That's what I thought. Well, that's not me. I'm willing. And I remember during this invitation, I said, God, I said, you don't have to do this. I said, you don't have to do this. I said, that preacher's standing right there. As soon as this service is over, I'm going to collar him. I'm going to make an appointment to talk to him tomorrow. He's going to tell me how to get these things out of my life. I got 6 days to get them out. Next Sunday, I'm getting saved. I was not putting God off. Do you understand? I thought I had to do those things. And God made it very plain, guys. I can only tell you, God made it very plain as I stood there. I was not going to be there next Sunday to get saved. So are you going to be dead? Maybe. Oh, maybe jail. Maybe in a hospital because another car wreck. I mean, there's any number of things could have kept me out of church the next Sunday. Now I am ticked. I am so mad that I said this to God. I said, if I'm not going to be here next week to get saved, I'm going to go today just as I am. Yeah. They ought to make a song out of that. You ever hear this? Oh, man, I was running from the hounds of hell when I got saved. Not me, not me. Man, I was grinning. I looked like a 55 Buick. I mean, I was grinning from ear to ear. I came down, that preacher, he probably thought I was coming down to bite him. I was smiling. You know why? Because I was coming to somebody that loved me. Yeah, I know some people are driven to Christ. I was drawn. I was drawn by his love. I came down here. I got on my knees. Now look, I'm ready to get saved, okay? Now, if you work down here and somebody comes forward to get saved, do you know what to do? Well, this preacher decides he wants to do a Bible study. I think Bible study is great. I just don't know that I want it right now. And so he's going through the Bible and he's showing me this and he's showing me this and I'm thinking, okay, where do we get to the prayer? And he's kind of just, you know, I'm feeling a little irritable because I came to get saved and he's doing his Bible study. Probably going to take an offering. And then he says this. He said, do you believe if you ask Jesus Christ to save you right now, he'd save you? Now, guys, don't get me wrong, but isn't that a stupid question to ask somebody at the altar on their knees beside you? I mean, that is a dumb question to ask at that place and that time. And so I'm thinking, look, what do you think I'm here for, okay? But I said, okay, he knows what he's doing. I said, I went, yes. How do you know? I went, because you told me. And he said, no. When he said no, you know what I realized? He made me give him the wrong answer. He's making me look like a fool. And when he said that, here's what I said to myself. You and me are going to fight. And after we fight, I'm going to get saved. But I'm so mad. I said, then why? And I can't forget it. He had a big wide margin Bible like this, and he stuck it right in my face. And he said, because that book says so. And I remember looking, just before I trusted Christ, I looked at that book and I said to myself, in my head, I said, does that book have that much power? And the voice of somebody who was not kneeling beside me said, oh yeah, it does, bud. And I bowed my head and I trusted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. Now here's what I want you to know. When I stepped out of that pew, right where that young man, that fellow singing, it says three rows back, right on the end. I stepped out. When I stepped out to come down here, I knew I was on my way to hell, and I knew whatever was going to happen down here, when it was done, I was going to be on my way to heaven. I knew that. Amen. You know what I'm going to talk to you about tonight? What I didn't know when I got saved. Man, there was a ton of things I didn't know. In fact, there was 21, 22, 45, 46, 63. You know, guys, we could maybe take a big offering and I cut this short. As I tell people, I'm a Baptist preacher. I cannot be bullied or intimidated, but I can be bought. Let me tell you what I did not know when I stepped out. I'll tell you what I did not know. I want you to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Now, I got to tell you this. Before I got saved, one of the things I did, I prayed 4 prayers. 3 of them were Catholic prayers. One of them was a Bible prayer. I prayed to Mary. Didn't do a bit of good. I prayed to an angel. That didn't do a bit of good. I made an act of contrition that I didn't mean. And I said what it is famously known as the Lord's Prayer out of Matthew chapter 6. That's not a Catholic prayer. That's a Bible prayer. When I got saved, somebody said, you can't pray that anymore. I said, why not? They said, that's vain repetition. Whoa, I need a volunteer. Would somebody volunteer tonight when Jesus Christ says something? I want you to step up right there, right after he says something and say, well, that was a waste of words. Oh, that was vain. I don't think the words coming out of the mouth of Jesus Christ are vain, okay? But if you're going to do that, I want to be there, okay? Now, I want to be about 60 feet off. I want to be outside the flash zone. Well, yeah, preacher, but people just say it's just repetitive and it's just vain repetition. Oh, really? And I know us Baptists, we would never engage in vain repetition, right? Brother Rick DeMichael told you he'd been engaging in vain repetition for 40 years. Isn't that how long you've been praying for your family? I got a sister, I've been praying for her to get saved for 45 years. She ain't saved yet. How many of you praying for somebody to get saved? You've been praying 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? Sounds like repetition. If they're not saved, sounds like it's vain. Are you going to quit? No. So I prayed these 4 prayers. And after I got done praying those 4 prayers, one day I made one up. It was a short prayer. It wasn't a deep prayer. But I made it up. Look, when you get a lost man making up his prayer, he's going to get in touch with God. And here's all I prayed. You know what I said? Now guys, I stole my first car when I was 14 years old. I spent my first night in jail when I was 14 years old. I got arrested my first time when I was 14 years old. And so by the time I was 20, I had been on the road. I'd been on the street by myself. I ran my life. And here's what I'd pray. I'd say those 4 prayers, and I'd say this to God. I'd say, God, if I could get rid of all my sins, I'd start all over. I'd start fresh. I'd start a new life. I didn't pray that prayer every night, but every time I prayed that prayer, as soon as I said it, I'd cry. Tough. Fight out in the street, but I'd cry. You know why? Because I knew I could never get rid of all my sins. So I get saved, and look at verse 17. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new. Guys, do you know what I did not know? Now, I have to tell you this. I have to tell you. That Bible study we had, that preacher showed me that verse. He showed me that, okay? So I'm kind of glad we did that. So before I prayed, I understood that, but I didn't know it when I stepped out. And I didn't come for the new life. I always worry about somebody, I want to get saved because my life's a mess and I need a new life. That is not a good reason to get saved. You need to get saved because you're on your way to hell. You deserve hell, and Jesus Christ is the only way, all right? But guys, you know what I got? I got a new life. Now, I got saved. I sit down in the front pew. Do you ever notice, like when you're under conviction, one stanza of the invitation takes about an hour? Or a day? It seemed like a long time went by because me and God had a very in-depth discussion. At the time I got saved, here's where I was. My 19th year on this earth, I was 20. My 19th year was the worst year I ever had. It was so bad, I told God this. I said, if my 20th is not better than my 19th, there will not be a 21st. That knowing that hell was my destiny. Me and a friend of mine, drinking buddy, we were going to break into a guy's house. He was an antique dealer. When he wasn't home, we were going to break into his house and steal whatever we could carry. and he said, well, what do we do if he comes home and catches us? I said, we'll kill him. You say, why? Because I didn't care. You understand? So that's where I was. My life was a total train wreck. So I get saved. Now I'm sitting down in the front pew, and the invitation's going on and on and on. And here's what I said to God. I said, here I am. I said, I'm a drunk. I am a thief. I said, I'm planning a robbery where I might kill a guy, and I'm planning to kill myself at the end of the year. I said, I have destroyed my life. Now you went and gave me a new one. I'll tell you what I'll do with this new one. I'll ruin it in 5 years. Because all I know how to do is ruin a life. Now let me say something, ladies. Bear with me on this, okay? Please. Women say some stupid things. Don't leave. We'll take care of this. You'll like me after a while. Hang on. Oh, come on, lady. You remember the dumbest thing you ever said? I do. But let me say this. Men also say some stupid things. Remember, guys? Will you? But, and I don't think this. I don't think that women say things that are more stupid than men. I don't think men say things that are more stupid than women. I think men and women say things that are equally stupid. Here's the difference. When a woman says something stupid, it's usually evident like that, and everybody just gets a chuckle. I mean, when a woman says something stupid, man, you'd laugh for an hour. We're having a meeting, and this preacher's wife she said, he wrecked our car, and next day I wrecked our van, and next day they canceled our insurance. And I said, well, do you think they saw a trend? And she went, listen, women say something stupid, and it's very evident, and everybody gets a chuckle. Men say something stupid, and they think it's oracle. They think it ought to be etched in granite and memorized by children. Only a man can say something stupid and finish it with, huh? I can't tell you how many guys I've had come up to me, they go, my life was a mess, and I got saved, and now my new life's a mess. Why, huh? And I make it very plain. That's one of the easiest spiritual questions. I said, that's very simple. I said, the same idiot that was running your first life is running your second one. You. You know what some people do when they get saved? They get a crazy idea. You know what it is? Now that you're saved, you think you know how to run a life. Come on, guys. Can't you lead somebody to Christ in a prayer that takes about 60 seconds? What can you learn about running life in 60 seconds? Because if you could, you're too busy praying to do it anyway. Guys, you don't know how to run a life. Look, there's no nicer way to say this. I'll just say it. You got saved. You didn't get smart. So you run out and you're going to take this new life and live it and you're going to mess it up again. And I said, God, listen, 5 years from now, I might still be saved, but I'll be as unhappy as I am right now. And then I said this, did not know what I said. See, here's what I believe. You can believe anything you want. If you think I'm wrong, don't come and tell me because I don't care. I fully intend to stay wrong. I believe there are two decisions that every person needs to make. They need to trust Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. That gets them to heaven. And then sometime after that, they need to make Him the Lord of their life. I've got some brethren that they think both of those happen the same time. I've been preaching way too long to know that. That doesn't happen. I mean, there can be anything from 5 minutes to 5 months to 5 years. Some folks make that first one, never make that second one. And so I'm sitting on this pew, and I said this. I said, God, I've already ruined my life. I already had life. And here's what I said. Did not know what I said, but I said, I'll tell you what. I've already had a life. You take this new life and do what you want with it. I prayed that prayer in Canton, Ohio on June 14th, 1970. 10 weeks, not months, 10 weeks later. In fact, 4 years to the day that I went on trial for 2 counts of grand theft auto when I was 16. 10 weeks to the day, I started Bible college in Pensacola, Florida. You know what it's like to be a Roman Catholic, drunk, car thief, and 10 weeks later, you're in a Bible college where they speak a foreign language, Southern, and you're doing Greek participles. I had somebody tell me, Gipp, you don't even know what a participle is. I know what a participle is. It's half a simple. You don't give you credit for anything. Now look, guys, you say you're saved. I'm not going to deny that. But I am just not too quick to jump on this. Well, I've given my life to the Lord. Well, I just don't know about that. That's easy to say. I'm just not sure. But let me just give you kind of a physical, earthly example of that prayer. You like roller coasters? I like roller coasters. Now, I know they got those rubber-tired things that corkscrew and do all that, and that's all right. I'm talking about them old wooden roller coasters with train wheels, steel wheels that give you a chiropractic adjustment. Man, I like those, okay? I can't ride those now because the roller coaster go like this. My head. Muslims wouldn't have to take it off. But now look, if you don't like to ride roller coasters, let's say you're with some friends and they talk you into it. First off, why is there always a 45-minute line? Yeah. Like 45 minutes to ponder the last moment you could still move your arms and legs. But at any time in that 45 minutes, can't you say, I can't do this, guys. I'm out of here, right? You can change your mind. You can be the very next person. I mean, you are the first in line. As soon as it comes in, they drag out the bodies, hose it down. You're in. You can turn around and say, nope, can't do this. You can even slide in and go, no, this is not for me, and slide back out and say, I just can't do this, right? You can change your mind until one thing happens. You know what it is? That metal bar comes down and goes click. Guys, I am not a Calvinist. But when that bar comes down and goes click, the next 2.5 minutes of your life are predestinated. And they're going to be associated with rapid heart rate and a lot of screaming, okay? And so if you say, well, I've given my life, Lord, here's what you need to do. Just say this. Grab that bar and say this. Lord, here's my life. Take it and click. Do what you want with it. You know what I don't understand, guys? Here, I really don't understand this. I don't understand a God you can trust with your soul that you can't trust with your life. I don't understand that. Look, let me ask you a question. I know the answer. Is there anybody here, you're saved, and you're worried about what you're going to be doing 10,000 years from tonight? Come on, are you worried about it? No. Why? You can't do anything about it. You've given 10,000 years plus to Jesus Christ, correct? Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I trust him with 10,000 years. So what? What's the big deal? You trust him with 10,000 years, and you can't trust him with 10. Here's what you did when you got saved. Here's what I did when I got saved. In essence, we took our soul, the most precious commodity we had. We walked up to Jesus Christ and we said this, I don't trust myself with this. I can't handle this. Here, you take it. And we put our soul into the nail-scarred hands of the only begotten Son of God, right? So now he has your soul, correct? And as you pull your now empty hands back, right there is like a little flake of pepper, a little grain of salt stuck there in the crevice of that palm of your hand. As you pull your hands back, here's the Lord now holding your soul. And he says, what's that? You said, oh, this is the rest of my life here on earth. Throw it on. I don't know. You might mess this up. You say, I don't think that. Then why don't you give it to him? You must think that if you didn't give it to him. You pay him lip service, but you don't trust him with your life. You trust him with your soul. You don't trust him with your life. Guys, I got a new life. Man, I was excited. I went down to Pensacola Bible Institute. I'm in college. Now, understand something. I had a problem. And my problem when I was in college, for about the first 2 years, my problem was that verse. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things become new. You say, why was that a problem? I'd read that verse, and it wasn't a complaint, and it didn't hurt me spiritually, but here's my problem. I said, God, this says, old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new, correct? Right? And I said, in Massillon, Ohio, I said, right now, somebody go down to City Hall, go down to the police department, walk into the police department, go to their files, look in G, find Gipp, Samuel C., and I got a police record. And this says old things are passed away. Now, I wasn't trying to find a contradiction between the Bible and my life. I couldn't mesh those two. And so my first year, nobody wrote to me. I got all the mail from the guy that lived there before me. His name was Resident. and apparently his roommate was a guy named Occupant. But at the end of my second year, I got a letter addressed to me. That got my attention. Then I looked at the return address, and it really got my attention. It was from the Ohio State Department of Juvenile Justice. And when I read that, I thought, somebody talked. Oh, yeah, man, that's how I got caught all the time. Somebody squealed. They catch them, and they talk, and I thought somebody talked. See, you got to understand, guys, there's a lot of unsolved crimes, 1968, 69, the first half of 1970 in my hometown. And I thought, you know what? They busted one of my friends, and he dropped a dime on me. Now I got to go back and serve some kind of time. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the Christian thing. Throw it away and never open it and act like I never got it. Oh, that's not the Christian. Well, that isn't what I did. I said, okay. I told the Lord, I said, I'll go. I'll read it. I'll go do the time, whatever. I opened up. That's not what it was at all. It said this. It said, Dear Mr. Gipp, we at the Ohio State Department of Juvenile Justice notice that you haven't been arrested for 2 years. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I bet you never got a letter like that. I thought, I hadn't even thought about it. I said, that's right. I haven't been arrested for 2 years. I've been sober for 2 years, that too. And you understand the world does not understand being saved. If somebody comes in here tonight and gets saved and goes to work tomorrow and walks up to their best friend and said, I got saved last night. I want you to get saved. And walks away. Somebody will walk over and say, what did he say? Said he got religion last night. They don't like that word saved. They don't understand it. And so they said, since you haven't been arrested for 2 years, it's obvious you're trying to turn over a new leaf. That's okay. They understand. And it said, since you're trying to turn over a new leaf, your police record has been pulled from the file, permanently sealed, never to be opened again. And the last line in this letter, you know what it said? It is the coolest letter. It said, the last line said, and now if you ever fill out a job application and there's a question that says, do you have a police record? You can honestly say no. And when I read that, you know what went through my mind? Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Guys, you understand? When I stepped out of there, I wasn't coming for a new life. I didn't know I was going to get a new life. I knew I was on my way to hell, and that when I was done, I was going to be on my way to heaven. I didn't even know I was coming to get a new life, but I got a new life. And I'm pretty sure everybody else got one. I mean, don't tell me, oh, I didn't download that part. I think we all got the whole download, did we not? I want you to go to John chapter 1, Gospel of John chapter 1. You know what I did not know? I didn't know this. I couldn't understand it. But get this. This drunk, this Roman Catholic thief comes down, he gets to the altar, and I got down on my knees to trust Jesus Christ, my personal Savior, okay? Now get this. When I got down on my knees to pray, I did not know, according to John chapter 8, verse 44, that I was of my father, the devil. I did not know when I got on my knees that I was actually a son of the devil. Now, had you told me, I would have seen the family resemblance. So I get on my knees, and I am a child of the devil. And when I get off my knees, the Bible says, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the what? The sons of God. Can you see it? I got on my knees a son of the devil. I got off my knees a son of God. I didn't even know what happened. I didn't know. In fact, I was so out of the loop that when I stepped out, if somebody said, where are you going? I'm going up to get saved. Well, before you pray, ask them if you're going to be a son when they're done. Son of God. I couldn't even have framed that question. Do you understand? I couldn't even have thought that. And if I'd have come down here and said, now I'm going to pray and get saved, and I'm going to be going to heaven, right? Yeah. Now when I get done praying, am I going to be a son of God? Oh, no. I wouldn't have said, well, let's forget the whole thing then. I didn't come to become a son of God. It's just kind of like icing on the cake. A lot of icing on this cake, guys. A lot of icing on this cake. Hey, I think you should be impressed with your God. You should. You should be impressed with this God. You say, why? Why? Because he can pile up dirt and breathe into its nostrils a breath of life. And it does not become alive. It becomes a living soul. Difference between being alive and being a living soul. A dog is alive. It is not a living soul. A cat, unfortunately, is alive. Fortunately, it is not a living soul. See, there's always some little bit of good news somewhere. And guys, if you were there when the Lord did that, if you were there, did you ever watch anybody do sand sculpture? I saw this guy do sand sculpture. He had a big old pile of dirt, and he hosed it all down, and then he started scooping. Now, I'm going to be very honest. When I see a big pile of dirt, you know what my sand sculpture is? Matchbox cars. I'm going to do, maybe a little road system on the side of the mountain, a couple of tunnels. That's it. That's all my imagination can do. I'm car-oriented. This guy saw far more than a map. This guy started scooping here and scooping there, and you know what he saw? He saw Moses. This guy, he sand sculpted Moses from the waist up. He was carrying the Ten Commandments. He was reared back like this. Literally, his hair was flowing straight back. You could see the fire in his eyes. And I thought, look at this guy. He started with a formless, lifeless pile of dirt, and when he was done, he had an absolutely beautiful, lifeless pile of dirt. And he could breathe into Moses' nostril all night long, and it'd still be dead. Still be a pile of dirt. You know what your God can do? He can pile up dirt, breathe with his nostrils, and becomes a living soul. No disrespect intended. That's a pretty good trick. And if he stopped there, you should be impressed. And if you're not impressed, it's because you watch too many computer-generated special effects. But that's not where he stopped. Because then he went back to heaven. And he got the only son that he had. And he said, I want you to go down there and die for this piece of dirt. So you know what this piece of dirt, I'm talking about me. You know what this walking, talking piece of dirt is doing as I speak to you? As I speak to you, this piece of dirt is on a journey that is going to end with this walking, talking dirt ball spending eternity in heaven with its creator. And look, guys, if God said, I am done, hey, that is good enough for me. Is it good enough for you? It wasn't good enough for God. Come on, guys, do you pray? Do you pray? Well, what could you call him? Couldn't you call him Almighty? Couldn't you call him God? Couldn't you call him Creator? Couldn't you call him many, many things? But what do we say? Father. A piece of dirt talks to its Creator. This piece of dirt speaks to its Creator and says, Father, and it's true. And he did it all. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I can't even tell you when that light came on. I can't tell you when that revelation in my mind. I'm telling you, I was a son of God when I walked out of that church that day, and I didn't know it. You understand? It just happened. I only came for salvation, but oh man, what I got. But that's not all. Look at Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20, look at verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Now watch the wording that God put in his book. And whosoever. Now where did we read that? Do you know that everybody in this world is going to be a whosoever? They're either going to be a whosoever from Romans chapter 10, verse 13, or they're going to be a whosoever from Revelation chapter 20, verse 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast in the lake of fire. You know what I didn't know? I get down on my knees. I'm just here. I want to get saved. I'm on my way to hell. I want to be going to heaven. I didn't even know there's a book of life. I didn't know that before God, before his throne is a book of life. Got to be pretty big. Got to have a lot of names in it, don't you think? You know what I think's neat about it? There's always a blank line where he needs one. Yep. Can you see it? He's sitting up there in heaven. He sees this hippie, drunk Catholic get down on his knees, and he says, whoa, whoa, guys, I better open that book. And he just happened to open it right to the right place in the G's. You say, and I do this. When I illustrate writing, I go like this because that's how we think about it. But you understand, God doesn't need one of these. He has one of these. I mean, he can use his finger to write on granite. I think you should be amused by the world. Yes, I think the world is, I think they're a scream. You know why? Here's what the world says to God. We're going to overthrow you. We're going to get rid of you. And I want to say, whoa, whoa, you're going to get rid of somebody that can write on granite with his fingertip? You really lower your goals, pal. You do better try to balance a budget. You ain't going to do that either. And he opened that book up, and there was a blank line and a G's, and he took that finger and he dipped it into the inkwell of eternity. You say, was there ink in there? It was the blood of his only begotten Son. And he wrote Gipp, Samuel Charles. I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it. You didn't know it either, did you? Man, it went on, and we did not even know it. I can't tell you when I found out. I can't. I don't know when I found out there was a book of life and that my name was in it. I don't know. I know when it happened. Now it happened right there. But I didn't know. I'm glad I don't have to know all that stuff for it to happen. And that's why I don't worry about losing my salvation. You know why? I don't have it. You can't lose what you don't have. What would you do? What would you do? You got saved. Somebody walks up, right after you get saved, they walk up with an envelope. It's got your name written on it. You say, what's this? Oh, hey, keep this with you. Your salvation's in here. When you die, you better have your hands on this, buddy. You know what you do? You go, whoa, I'm taking care of this. I am watching over this. Man, you'd keep that on you at all times. And then one day, you'd be walking out across a dark parking lot, somebody thump you on the head, you'd wake up. Oh, no, man. They stole my salvation. Right? You say, yeah, preacher, that's right, that's right. I know what I'll do. I'll hide it someplace at my house where I can find it when I need it. Who are you kidding? Yeah, I can't find it. Yeah, some guys can't even find their car keys. Anyway, guys, you guys, I bet there are people here, you put something away in your house where you could find it when you need it, the next owner will find it. Guys, let me tell you something. Guys, you're going looking for your tools and can't find them. I'm going to tell you, if you can't find something, how to get it. I'm going to tell you how to find it. Buy a new one. Honey, I'm looking for my Corvette. Anyway, you were looking at a guy that at one time did not own one, did not own two, but 4 hacksaws. You say, why? Because I tried to find the other 3. I can't find a hacksaw. And I'm looking, I need a hacksaw. And we're in the store one day, and I walked in the tool section. I took a hacksaw down. I said, Kathy, I'm going to find my hacksaw. She said, how? I said, I'm going to buy this one. I said, I'll guarantee when I buy this one, I'll find mine. I bought that hacksaw, walked out, got in the car door. It's on the seat. But, well, I got to know, preacher, I got a safe in my house, and nobody will touch it. And you come home, man, the whole thing's burnt down, safe's melted down, and There goes your salvation. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go down to the bank. I'll put it in a sub-basement. I'll put it in a safety deposit box, one of them great things, great big vaults that you walk in. Back, I think it was 1974. There was a tornado went through Xenia, Ohio, very near Dayton, Ohio. Just about took that town off the map. When that tornado passed through Xenia, Ohio, after it did, they found canceled checks that were in somebody's safety deposit box in a walk-in vault in the basement of the bank. They found them 30 miles away. So where can I put it? You don't have to worry about it. For you to lose your salvation, somebody's got to break into heaven and steal that book. Now, you really think the Lord's going to say one morning, hey, what are you guys using the book of life last night? Well, I guess we could put a King James Bible there. I mean, guys, hey, in 1983 in St. Louis, Missouri, there was a large archive of military records, and in 1983 they had a fire. This is back before computers, back before backup files, back before all that stuff. And I still talk to men, and they'll say, that's right. These guys try to get some kind of a GI benefit from their time in the military, and they said, we have no proof that you were in. We don't doubt that you're in. We just have no proof that you were in because your records went up in flame. Can you imagine Brother Gomez, Brother Gipp show up, and they go, oh, you didn't hear about the fire? The G's and H's. Anyway, I mean, if I'm going, he's gone. But, hey, guys, now, I got to tell you this. I got to tell you, I am not worried about going to heaven because my name is written in the book of life. I am going to get there, and it's all okay. I have to be honest with you, full disclosure. There is one small fear that I harbor about the book of life. I'm sorry, I worry about this. You don't have to worry about it. I have to worry about it. I can see it. I can see it. I'm in the line. He's talking to this guy. No, I'm next. I am the next guy up. He gets done with this guy. I step up, and I just have this horrible fear. The Lord is going to look at the book of life and go, Samuel Gipp? Gipp. Gipp. No, I had it all my life. It's Gipp. Thought you knew everything. Gipp. You'll have to add the thunder and lightning, okay? But I want you to know on that day, I will be Sam Gipp. If that is my new name, I will answer to it. Guys, when you got a name like Gipp, you have no idea what I've been called. I've been called Gibb so many times, I think me and David are related. I show up for other guys' meetings. I preached a meeting one time for, they announced it on all over the flyers. It was for Sam Goip. I preached it. He never came anyway. This really happened. I get C-R-I-P-P, Crip. And so Kathy and I, we just been married a short time, and this we were sending money to this Christian organization, and so they keep writing Sam Crip, C-R-I-P-P. And Kathy goes, and it rolls off my back, guys. Just the other day, we checked into a place in Canada, and it was G-I-P-T, Gipped. I got a friend, he texts me, and his correction, auto-correction, dear brother Gimp. I don't know where they get this stuff. Anyway. But this organization, they keep writing to Sam Crip. Don't matter to me. My wife says, I'm going to write him, and I'm going to tell him your name is Gipp, not Crip. I said, well, okay, babe, if you want to do that, fine. So she wrote him a nice letter, better than I'd have done. And she said, I just want to let you know my husband's name is Gipp, G-I-P-P, not Crip, C-R-I-P-P. And they wrote back and apologized. Had Gipp spelled 4 times correctly. But it must have been a form letter, I hope. It said this, Dear Mr. Damn Gipp. We're so sorry, Mr. Damn Gipp, that we spelled your name wrong. And we want you to know, Mr. Damn Gipp, that we really feel bad about it. And in the future, Mr. Damn, I said, whoa, babe. I told Kathy, I said, I've been called that before, never by a Christian organization. I said, I was doing better when I was crip, at least I was saved. You know, guys, I've been preaching for 45 years. I've preached with a lot of famous preachers. There's one guy I've never had a meeting with. I so want to have a meeting with this preacher. I don't believe in bucket lists, but if I had a bucket list, I don't have one. You know what my one thing is? Before I die, I want to have a joint meeting with Charles Swindoll. We're going to call it Swindle and Gipp. I have no idea what the preaching is going to be like, but I'll bet you that the offerings are going to be historic. I mean, after that, when we get done, they won't find the chairs. Everything will be gone. Hey, don't have Swindle and Gipp in anymore. Hey, guys, you know what I'm telling you? I am telling you that I got down on my knees. While I am on my knees, God took that finger, and he opened that book, and he wrote my name, and I didn't even know it. I want you to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, just 17 more, and I'll be done. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, but you want to see this because you're worried about it. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, it says this in verse 11, for other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Now, if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. And if any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. You know what I did not know? I step out of this pew, I come down here just to get saved. I want to go to heaven. That's all I want, guys. And you know what happened? While I am there, I got enrolled in an eternal reward system, which, by the way, every one of you did too if you got saved. Now, don't come up to me. I love these pious people. Well, I don't serve God for rewards, which I think is great because they're probably not getting anything anyway. But let me ask you this, okay? If you're one of those very pious people, well, I'm not interested in rewards. Let me just ask you one question. Who instituted the eternal reward system? Who did? And you're going to say no thanks. You're going to say, I'm more spiritual than that. I don't think you've got higher ground. I don't think you're more spiritually minded than God is. And besides, you say you don't care about rewards. You get mad if your church has a picnic and the preacher doesn't thank you for your Jell-O salad. And I gave them my Jell-O salad. And they never said thank you. They thanked her for her brownies. And they just come out of a box. Can I tell you something? God's got your Jell-O salad recorded. So does the Center for Disease Control. You know what I think of the eternal reward system? I don't think it's a slap on the back, attaboy, this is my guy. I don't think that. Now here's what I say. Ladies, I got to talk to the men. I don't know how to talk to ladies about this, so you ladies, while I talk to the men, I want you to think about two things. I want you to think about sewing machines with dull needles and ovens that are 50 degrees hotter than they say they are. Oh, okay, you young girls, your cell phone doesn't work. They have no idea about those first two, I'll guarantee you. Anyway, okay, back to the men. You guys, you got a dozen screws to take out, Phillips screws. They've been painted over 5 times, and your Phillips screwdriver, the end is chipped. Now, you know what happens. You put it in there. First off, you got to drive it in there with a hammer to get it past 5 layers of paint, and you turn it, it turns. But it doesn't take the screw out. It just wallows out the hole. Now you got to drill it, and you got 11 more to go. You know what you do with that screwdriver? You take it as solemnly as you can, walk across your kitchen, go out in the back porch, and throw it as far as you can. You say, but my dad gave that to me. Shows you what your dad thought of you. Well, that's the one my dad gave me. Anyway, but then at the bottom of your toolbox, remember back when you shopped at Kmart? And you got 5 screwdrivers for $5 at Kmart. You got 1 left. I mean, it's an old Phillips, and the shank is rusted and a little bit bent, and the wooden handle's split, and you got electrical tape around it, but the end's good. And you walk up there, you put that in that screw, and you whack it with a hammer. Then you lean in, and you throw some torque on it. And you know what happens? Nothing. Well, so what do? Well, you lean harder and twist harder. But it's a Baptist screw. It is. It's a Baptist screw, and it is silently singing our national anthem, I shall not be moved. Now, before there was a Tim Allen, I want you guys to know there was a Sam Gipp saying, more power. I have leaned in, thrown the torque to one of those until I could feel the shaft vibrating with the kinetic energy. Something here is going to break. And when that screw snaps loose, it snaps loose with a distinctive snap. What a happy sound. Now you have got 10 more screws to take out. Are you going to go get the screwdriver that didn't work? Well, I just think it ought to have a chance. It did. And it didn't do it. You're going to use the one that worked. You know, your church, it really perplexes me. This is one thing. It's a good problem. It's a good problem. Whenever I go to a church, I always make a point of praying over every missionary. You have 8 million missionaries. I walk through the halls and I throw a prayer here and I throw one there. I mean, I'd be here until the middle of next month trying to pray for all your missionaries. But let me explain. Here's what I say. You look on these walls here, down this hall, outside there. I think some of you don't understand what those mission letters represent. Oh, yeah, preacher, those represent the people that God called to the mission field. No. They represent the ones that went. You don't really believe that everybody God called to the mission field is in the mission field, do you? And you don't really believe, please tell me, you don't really believe that everybody that said no, he broke their back and killed their kids and burned their house. Some of them are working really good jobs, making better money than you and me, and living happily ever after. And you've got people, I'll guarantee you, right inside here, just the few mission letters you have represented on this sanctuary walls, you've got some people, they won't let their daughters, don't dare let their daughters walk outside alone in broad daylight. Some of these people, they have got diseases that the Center for Disease Control doesn't even have a name for. You're going to tell me that they don't have something coming, that the guy that stayed home and worked on his IRA doesn't deserve? And this is a just and righteous God. And when it says, be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap, that is not, the context of that is not judgment in a bad way, it's judgment in a good. Read the context of the verse. And so you don't have to worry. We are an eternal reward system, and God's got it all recorded. And really, he's got everything you've ever done. Come on, there's something you did. And you go, well, nobody did notice. Oh, yeah, somebody noticed. If nobody on this planet noticed, there's somebody that noticed. And the one person that did notice is the most important person in the universe because they can do something about it. And when they say thanks, everyone will be impressed. Look at 1 Timothy chapter 5. 2 more and I'll be done. That's 45 minutes for the first point, 45 for the second. Let me explain this. My family, by lineage, is Romanian. Both sides, Romanian. I was born 2 years, in my family, I was born 2 years after my parents' last child. You have to think about that. They had my sister. My sister is 6 years older than me. She used to be 4 years older, but I've been slowing down. But they had my sister. 4 years later, they had my brother. All they wanted was one girl, one boy. They got him. When they had my brother, they said, no more kids. And they're done. And they were so done, they got rid of the baby crib and ladies, diapers that didn't dissolve in a washer. Amazing. And they got rid of all the baby stuff. 2 years later, surprise! I am what was known in 1950 as a surprise. Now think about that. That's not too bad of a word, is it? I mean, today I would be known as an abortion. Did you ever step into a dark house or a dark room, all of a sudden lights came on and there's beautiful balloons and people jump out with party hats and noisemakers and yell, abortion! I mean, It's just not the word to use. They yell, what? Surprise! And so I came along as a surprise. But consequently, I was unwanted. I was wanted. In my hometown, I was wanted by everybody but the family. I mean, there were guys in other cities that wanted me. And now, please understand, my dad weighed 285 pounds. My dad had hands like catcher's mitts. He had a head like a pumpkin. And if my dad hit you, you stayed hit. You know how you know my dad never hit me? I'm here. He did not do this to my face. This is just nature and 29 years on the road, okay? But my dad did, but they didn't want me. And in the Romanian culture, if a family has a child that they don't want or can't afford, they're too poor to raise it, they adopt it out of the family. They don't adopt it like we do, send it to California, never see its birth parents, don't know who it is or what it was or anything. No. In the Romanian system, they adopt it to friends. Somebody may not have a family or can raise one. In the Romanian community there, where we were from, there was a family. They had a child, they had 7 or 8. And they had this child, and they were just too poor to raise one more baby. They adopted that little baby to a family in the church. They couldn't have any children. And every birthday, his dad and mom, his brothers and sisters were there. They knew him, he knew them, all of his life, he knew his family. So that's what they did. My parents, they didn't want me. They almost adopted me out to my rich uncle. I could have had the Corvette. Well, they didn't. But consequently, my dad never beat me. My dad never abused me. My dad was a good, hardworking, honest man, and I would fight you if you say anything bad about him tonight. But he wasn't a liar, which means for all of my life I never heard, I love you, because he wasn't going to lie. And I was just kind of a non-person. And, the Tharps. The second best thing about those guys is the way they sing.
Yeah, that's right.
You say, what's the best? That they're the Tharps. Oh, I don't mean the name Tharp. They're 3 brothers, sons of a preacher, raised in a Christian home, all 3 preachers. Man, I look at these guys.
Yeah.
I see them pal around. I see them joke with each other. I am so blessed to watch them. There was no salvation in our home. My brother and I hated each other. We fought every day. No, we did not fight like brothers. We fought like people that hated each other. I beat him until I broke his ribs because I just needed to get something across one night. When I got saved, I did not love him. It took 2 years for God to deal with my heart so I could love my brother. I witnessed to him for those 2 years, but I didn't love him. And after 2 years, God broke my heart, and I loved him. For the next 3 years, I witnessed to him with a heart of love. And then he died in a motorcycle accident, went to hell. And I see these guys get up and sing. You guys so bless my heart. Amen. And I don't just mean your singing, guys. And even, I think you're good Christians, okay? Even that, it is to see these 3 guys. You know what I was thinking when I was sitting down there last night watching them sing, and I thought, when I get to heaven, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be walking on that street of gold, and we're going to hear them come and singing. And we're going to go, well, that's got to be the Tharps. And we're going to turn around and go, yeah. Somebody's going to say, wait, there's something wrong. Why? Well, there's only 3 of them, and there's 4 of them. Who's the other guys? That's their dad. Man, these guys are going to come walking down that street of gold and think, can you imagine those 4 guys? I led my dad to the Lord when he was 75 years old. 2 months later, he had a stroke, spent the next 5 years in a nursing home. Had he stayed in good health, my dad probably would have gotten out of the Catholic Church and led my mom out of it. But he never grew. He never grew. I went to Romania, and I thought, man, I'm going to come home from Romania. And my dad has got to listen to me. He's going to be excited that his son went to Romania. And while I'm in Romania, my dad died. And you know, I've often thought when he died, he stepped into heaven and went, hey, my kid was right. Now, I don't know what your family was like. These guys, they bless me. You know, when I meet some of these college students, I'm asking, you come from a Christian home? Your dad and mom saved? Brother and sister saved? That is the most precious thing. But look at 1 Timothy chapter 5. It says this, rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters with all purity. Did I just read about father, mother, brother, sister? What is that? Yeah. You know what I didn't know? Can you see me? I'm on my knees. All I want to do is go to heaven. I'm getting into a family. You say, how big? And this is just a little part of it. Isn't that true? Guys, I mean, is this not a family? I'll bet you every one of you have done this. You've done what I've done. You went into some church. You've never been there a day in your life. You met somebody you never knew existed till that day and had better fellowship than you've had with some of your family members. You say, what is that? That's family. Now, I got to tell you something. I am talking to somebody, maybe your parents were abusive. Maybe they did call you ugly names. Maybe they did beat you or do worse. And you have just so long. Listen, I always longed for a father-son relationship. I really did, even after I got saved, after I got married. My dad was in this nursing home, and I thought, I'm going to go see my dad. I'm in town. It was 25 miles from our home. I drove 25 miles in. I walked in. He started crying. I said, look at this. It's finally happened. And he said something. I said, what'd you say, Dad? He said, where's your mom? I want to see your mom. I said, just a second. I turned back around, drove 25 miles, picked my mom up, drove back to the nursing home, sat in a chair in a corner while they fellowshiped. You say, did you ever get that father-son relationship? No. But I got this one. You understand? And here's what I'm telling you. Some of you come from a family and you go, well, I just want to have that family relationship. Look, if it didn't happen by now, it's not going to. Just hang it up. Forget it. Well, I just don't have closure. Ah, shut up. Closure. You know what you ought to thank God for? He gave you a family. Man, we got a family. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was an open Sunday, no meeting. I went into this church, and when I don't have a Sunday, I told you, we come in as late as we can. I don't come in and announce, I'm an evangelist. I come in as late as I can. We sit on the back and near the door and get out as quick as we can. You would think we were already members. And so we go into this church, and it was a church right alongside the highway and big building. And the big building doesn't mean it's a bad church. This is a good church, big building. But as churches go, it was a really nice funeral service. And after that service, it was an independent Baptist church. And I told Kathy, I said, we got to find another place tonight. We found another place. Oh, was it ever another place? Somewhere in the Twilight Zone. They didn't have a big building. They didn't have a little building. They had one little cubicle in a storefront. You know what that's like. Some of you pastors are in there right now. We went into this little indiscriminate, little not outstanding whatsoever. Now there was one little hint. Had I noticed, before I walked into this church, had I looked across the street, you know what I'd have noticed? All the trees across the street, this side of them, the bark was gone. And I'm pretty sure after that service that night, there was less bark. We walked in, I'm sitting right by the door. It's one of them churches, one door, one in, one out. This preacher got up. Man, he let her fly. About halfway through this thing, I gave my wife the elbow. I said, hey, babe. I said, it's like coming home, isn't it? She goes, yeah, it sure is. But you know what he did? He had some other guy close in prayer. He gets to the door. Now I got to go past him. He goes, hi, who are you? I said, Sam Gipp. He goes, what do you do? I said, I'm an evangelist. He said, well, you should have told me I'd have you preach tonight. You say, oh, he just said that. Well, maybe he did. But we do 2 years east of the Mississippi and 2 years west. 14 and 15 are east, 16 and 17 will be west. And in 17, I passed through New Mexico. Second year in the west, we passed through New Mexico. And when I go through New Mexico, I'll go to Rio Rancho Gospel Light Baptist Church. Brent Lenentine, I've had a meeting with him every time we went west, ever since that night when I first met my brother. A brother I didn't even know I had. Now look, I am sorry if your relationship with your brother or your sister or your father or your mother is not what you want it to be. But just get real about it. It's probably never going to be that. It's never going to be this idyllic frolic that you have in your mind. But look what you got here. Why don't you take advantage of what God gave you? These are your brothers. Start borrowing money. Give you one more and I'll be done. I want you to go to Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. You know, after I got saved, I had a little problem. And my problem was that I just thought there had to be more to this than just sitting there and watching it go on. Okay? Now, I have people ask me two questions. They sound very similar. They're two different questions. They get two different answers. If somebody says, how long have you been in the ministry? I graduated from Bible college in 1973, so I say I've been in ministry for 42 years. If they say, how long have you been preaching? I say 45 years. You say, why? Honest, I was preaching even before I went to Bible college. And here's how I know this happened. You know, I got saved. Now, that big church, they had entire classrooms of 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, 175, 214-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. And these superintendents would come over. They heard that I got saved, saw what I was like, heard my testimony, and they said this, will you Sunday, I want you to come in my class and give a test. I want you to give your testimony. Testimony. They said, I want you to testify. I want you to testify. You don't understand. See, you don't understand. I was a lost Roman Catholic and a crook. And the only testifying I knew had something to do with holding one hand up and the other one on the Bible and swearing to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I didn't intend on telling anybody anything. I was not putting my hand on the Bible. I was not swearing to tell nothing, brother. Listen, the statute of limitations wasn't up on some of those things yet. So I wasn't. I'm serious. That's what I thought. I thought, I ain't telling them nothing. I ain't testifying about nothing. So you know what I did? I preached. Said, you preach about people getting saved? Nope. Hey, didn't you want them to get saved? Yeah. I didn't preach about them getting saved. You know what I preached about? About that girl in algebra class. About that guy that told me the dirty jokes. About the guy I got in a fight with. I told him about my best friend. My best friend's name was Terry. He was an old Vietnam vet, and we used to fight side by side in the streets of Massillon. And I gave Terry, my friend, I gave him his wife. What are friends for? Winter was coming. He said, oh man, he said, winter's here, and I don't have a girlfriend. I said, take mine. He said, but my car's broke. I don't have anything to take her out in. I said, take mine. I said, take my car, take my girl, keep the girl, bring the car back. That's what I told him. He took the car, took the girl, kept the girl. They got married, lived happily ever after. I got my Chevy, 64 Impala, 283 4-speed. I got the better deal. But you know, Terry's a tough old guy, and I thought, man, what am I going to do? I got to see Terry get saved. I want to get saved. What's he going to do? He's not going to hear it. Maybe he's going to laugh at me. Maybe he's going to get in my face. Maybe he's going to punch me. I tried to prepare for whatever his reaction to the gospel would be. I said, Terry, I said, I got to tell you this. I got saved, Terry. I want you to get saved. He said, oh, Sam. He said, I did that. I was 15 years old. I just never told you. Now, you do anything you want. Let me tell you what my burden has always been. I've always thought this. Why should I preach and get 5 people saved if I can get 5 Christians right with God and each one of them gets 5 Christians saved? I've always had the burden for Christians. Because the fact that, I don't condemn the guys that didn't witness to me. I just think, guys, get with the program. You understand? And so I had this problem. 9 weeks, I'm saved, 9 weeks. And I went to the youth director of that church Sunday morning, and I said, I got a problem. He said, what is it? I said, I think God wants me to go to Bible college. He said, where are you going to go? I said, I don't know. At that time, there were not the Bible colleges out there. There were only 2, basically 2. And he gave me these 2 little college brochures, and he said, here's what he said. Read these this afternoon. Don't make a firm decision and come back and talk to me. Tell me what you come up with tonight. So I read the 2 of them, and you understand something, guys. I started running the street when I was 12. By the time I was 14, I ran my life. I'm 20 years old. And I'm reading these things, and I'm thinking, you know, they're okay, but here's my problem. I said, I'm going to go to this one. And some 18-year-old kid is going to come in and give me demerits for reading my Bible after lights out, and it's going to be lights out. I said, I'm going to deck him. I'm going to get in my car and come back, get drunk. And I told him, I said, well, the two of them, this one, but I said, still want me peace. And he said, we both at the same time said, what about Pensacola? I knew there was a school in Pensacola. I didn't know anything about it, but I just knew it was there, and that was what I did. Guys, the next day I did something I never wanted to do. I never wanted to leave a job without giving somebody 2 weeks' notice. But I only had 1 week. This is Monday. Next Monday, classes start. I went to the body shop. It was a two-man shop, the owner and me. His name was Rodney. I tried to win Rod to the Lord, but I couldn't because he was already saved. Every morning at 10 o'clock, he'd go out and bring the 8-packs in. We'd drink all day long. And I said, Rod, I'd like to give you 2 weeks notice, but I said, God's called me to preach. I'm leaving next Saturday. Friday night, I went over to my friend Terry's house. Guys, I'm telling you, this is what happened. I sat at his house, and we knocked out a case of beer. He had a half a case. I had a half a case. I went home at 2 o'clock. Got up at 4 o'clock and drove to Pensacola, Florida, and went to Bible college. You say you can't do that. Sorry. Guys, when I pulled in with long hair, see-through body shirts, bell bottoms, open-toed sandals, and I pulled in that red, white, and blue Volkswagen. And it is another story, but it did float. But, and I am pretty sure that I am the single only graduate of the Pensacola Bible Institute who has never enrolled. I didn't know you enrolled. I showed up. I got in through osmosis. I showed up Monday night. They started class. I got my Bible. I had a notebook. I had pen and paper and all this other stuff. So I said, how do you know you got in? They charged me. If I paid, I'm in. Right? Now I got out. I graduated 3 years later. But guys, here's what it was. Look at Romans chapter 12, verse 1. It said, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that to present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. You know what I didn't know? I didn't know I could serve him. My. Get a chance to serve this God? This God? This God that saved that kid down at that altar and then gave all that stuff to him that he didn't even know he had? I get to serve him? Guys, I really believed in the end times. I did. I thought if he called me to preach, he has got to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. I came home from my first year of Bible college. I went to work at the body shop. I worked all summer. Now, guys, my whole dream was to have my own shop. I painted that Volkswagen. I like painting cars. I wanted to get into custom paints. I was getting into candy apples and spider webbing and metal flakes and all kinds of things. And then I got saved. And got done with my first summer. Now I'm going down to Bible college for my second year. And I told Rod this. I said, Rod, I'm going back down to Bible college. I said, I'll come up next summer and work for you again. He said, no, you won't. I said, why not? He said, I'm selling the whole place and moving to Texas. Now, the whole place was a piece of property. The whole place was a 3-bedroom house. The whole place was the shop. About $15,000 worth of body and mechanics tools. I'm talking compressors and torches and grinders and paint guns and all that. He was even leaving the name. He was just going to lock it, hand the key to the new owner, and go to Texas. He said, I'm selling the whole place, moving to Texas. I said, really? Who are you selling it to? He said, I'm selling it to you for $7,000. You say, wow, what a deal. No, you don't understand. It was a steal. But that's not what it was. It was my dream. It was all I ever wanted. It took me about 5 seconds. I said, now, Rod, not me. God's called me to preach. Man, you know what? I get to serve him. This is something to serve him. Sure. When your pastor knows what he was. When you know what you were, it absolutely knocks your socks off to be standing behind a pulpit like this preaching on one of these books. I'm telling you, it's something else. It's not, brother? Guys, and I didn't know. All I knew was I'm getting on my knees on my way to heaven. I'm getting off my knees on my way to I'm getting on my knees on my way to hell, off my knees on my way to heaven. That was all I wanted. That is not all I got. I got a new life. I became a son of God. I got my name written in heaven. I got an eternal reward system. I got into a family, and I got to serve Him. Now, I'm going to give you a thought. I'm done. I'm going to give you a thought. Tomorrow, some strange car pulls up in front of your house. Man gets out of that car in a business suit, looks very official, got an envelope right here. Walks up, knocks on your door. You go to the door, you say, "Can I help you?" He says, "Well, yes, I'm looking for somebody. Maybe you can help." He said, "Who are you looking for?" He said, "Well, I'm looking for," and says your name. He's looking for you. And you go, "That's me." He goes, "Oh." He said, "I'm so glad to see you." He said, "You won't believe it." He pulls this envelope out. He said, 2 years ago, a millionaire died and left you $250,000. He left you $250,000. It's been in a bank account for 2 years, drawing interest because we couldn't find you. You have owned $250,000 for 2 years. Now, if you're a stinking typical Baptist, you'd go, "Well, I wish I knew that 6 months ago when I bought a new truck." That's not what matters. He'd say, "You know what I've got in this envelope? I've got a check, not for $250,000, but $250,000 and 2 years interest. It's been yours for 2 years, but you didn't know it, right? But that doesn't matter. You know what matters? What you're going to do with it now that you know it, now that you got it. Now that you know you got it, what are you going to do with it? Maybe I talked about something tonight. Maybe somebody here just really didn't know it or just really never thought about how wonderful a thing it was when you got saved. It doesn't matter how long you've been, it doesn't matter how long you were a son of God, it doesn't matter how long you had a new life, it doesn't matter how long your name was written in heaven, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter how long it was that you didn't know it. You know what matters? What you're going to do now that you know. A couple of years ago, six years ago, I was preaching in Nova Scotia, Canada. I preached to the Canadian Fellowship of, the Christian Fellowship of Canadian Law Enforcement Officers. I preached constables, policemen, and Royal Canadian Mounted Policemen. Red tunic, Smokey the Bear hat, leather boots to their knees. They were saved. I preached to them. There was a man there. He was in Ottawa. He was a Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. He was about 40-something, and he was already over all recruits for the Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. This guy was already, and from 40, you know, if you can go up from there, he's going up from there. I said something. I said something about giving that life to Christ. And he didn't do anything. But 3 months later, I got a letter, and the return address on the envelope was the Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. I opened up, the stationery was official Royal Canadian Mounted Police stationery. Is from that Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. And he said, "I was in Nova Scotia 3 months ago and you preached." He said, "I just had to write and tell you, I pulled the bar down." That's all he had to say. You know, I think he's going to finish out really well in the Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. For some reason, I think he's not there anymore. He reached up and he pulled that bar down. He said, "Lord, here's my life. Take it," and click. Do what you want with it. And I got a feeling he's behind one of these, preaching out of one of these, talking to folks like you, because he pulled that bar down and gave it to the Lord. Doesn't matter how long you had it that you didn't know. But what are you going to do now that you know? I'd like you to stand with your heads bowed. Your heads bowed, your eyes closed.